Welcome back to Shy's Big New Who rewatch, and we are getting to the end now. We're getting towards the end of Chris Eccleston's run, towards the end of series one. And have I been putting it off? Yes, I have. Have I been what's the word? Trying to console myself? Yes, I have. Have I been absolutely dreading coming to the end of Eccleston? Yes, I have. So we are starting off with Boomtown, obviously, because last few episodes. So, Boomtown, we obviously get to see Blonde yet again, otherwise known as Margaret Blaine, and she is now, for some reason, Lord Mayor of Cardiff, and she is trying to get this construction project underway where she gets rid of Cardiff Castle. Which, why? Yes, this Blythe Droog project that she's trying to get done, which is essentially a big ass power plant, which for no nefarious reasons whatsoever, or so she says. This reporter comes up to her and is like, isn't it weird that everyone to do with this project has died, really? Apart from you. Like, aside from you, like, everyone, everyone's gone. Like, that's a bit weird, isn't it? And she's like, oh, let's go to the bathroom. Just us girls, just us girls. And while she's getting ready to strike, which I love, again, I love kind of like the disrobing of the Slovene, where like you see the faces like peeled out. Love it. Absolutely love it. And the way that she hangs like the Margaret suit on a hook, like she's a coat. It just, yeah, I don't know. I've just always really enjoyed that. So she's like, oh yes, well, I've just got a sore throat. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. And the reporter's like, yeah, well, getting married and the baby just kind of cinched it and all that. So Blonde has gone soft because Blonde's like, oh, well, we'll do this another day. We'll do this another day. And then starts getting sad because all of her family are gone. It's like, mate, maybe if you hadn't have tried to take over the world and destroy people, kill many, and if you hadn't have crashed that little pig man into the Thames, this wouldn't have happened. You would have still had your family, wouldn't you? Yeah. But one thing to note to begin with was like, she was like, oh, well, don't have me in the papers. Oh, I don't want pictures taken of me. By all means, take a picture of the power plant. By all means, take a picture of, this little diorama that we've got going on. Just don't take a picture of me. Because she knew that as soon as her face comes up, the doctor's gonna find her. Speaking of which, we then cut back to Team TARDIS, who are getting on swimmingly. Jack, Rose, and Nine have a really, really cool, nice dynamic. And I love the way that they are with each other. I just do. I love the friendship that's quite clearly there. They care about each other. They've seen so much. And then we add Mickey the Idiot into the mix because Rose has wanted her passport back, which, all well and good, fine, whatever. So she, wants her passport, so she gets Mickey to come from London all the way to Cardiff, which, it's a long ass train. It's a long ass train, especially in 2005. Like, I feel like it would have been a much longer train journey back then because you probably would have had to go to like every single stop between London and Cardiff. But yeah, so he comes because, he does. She could literally say, oh, Mickey, I'm really fancying a twirl from the shop, and he would bring her one, like, to outer space. He just would, because that's just Mickey. But we see, obviously, the little bit of jealousy between him and Jack, because he's like, oh, I'm fine with you, like, with the doctor. Like, that's fine, but him, he's a little bit, and Jack's like, handsome. So yeah, it is like that jealousy thing. But they do get on. They do get on. And they're having a nice meal. They're getting along swimmingly. Mickey really fits in with Team TARDIS. And yeah, the Doctor sees Margaret Blaine on a newspaper and it's just like, yeah, okay, I was having a really nice day. Now I've got to deal with Slovene. Brilliant. Awesome. Love that. Amazing. So he then does that. They then go to find her. She climbs out a window, of course she does. This is my favourite scene, though. This is my favourite scene in the whole episode. Is where she is running tries to teleport because she thinks she's a little smarty pants. And then the doctor with his Sonic is like, yeah, you ain't going nowhere, mate. So she runs, teleports, and then is like, shit, runs, teleports. And yeah, it's just a really funny thing. I don't know. I like physical comedy, man. What can I say? I am very much a like slapstick comedy kind of girl. And I love that Doctor Who is giving us that physical comedy, even in, such early days. So she then gets taken captive. We have some like really interesting conversations, really. So on the Doctor and Blonde side of the story, we have them going out for dinner, her trying to escape him at every possible turn, whether that be, by trying to poison him or trying to, poison him with her breath or something she wants to drink, like, or guilt trip him. Because a lot of it is, oh, well, they'll kill me if you take me back to Rex. Oh, oh, Doctor, you're signing my death warrant. Oh, as if that's going to make the Doctor go, well, oh, yes, that's fine. Continue killing people, blow up the whole world. Like, because that's her plan. Her plan is to blow up the whole world and surf away. Which, bonkers, but yeah, that is her plan. And the Doctor's like, well, no, I'm not going to let that happen. Like, no. So it's gonna have to be death warrant. I'm sorry, it's just gonna have to be. So they're having those conversations, and it makes you think about the consequences and the aftermath of, okay, well, the Doctor's saving these people, the Doctor's doing so much, but what happens afterwards? After he goes away, after he flies away in the TARDIS, what happens to the monsters? Obviously he'll take her to her home planet, and she'll get. But yeah, it kind of just makes you think about the consequences, which kind of makes me think that Russell T Davies is maybe punishing Chris Eccleston a little bit in these episodes because they have fallen out by this point. But on the other side of the conversation, we have Mickey and Rose having a good old conversation about, like, he's like, oh, I've moved on. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah. And she's really sad. And it's like, dude, you left him. You left him. You got in a magic police box with a man you barely knew, and you fucked off on multiple occasions. And Mickey said so much, oh, stay, Rose, please stay. And she didn't. She basically said, nah, fuck you, see you in a year. And she expected him to sit on his hands. She expected him to just like wait around for her. And it's like, that's not fair. That's really not fair on Mickey. I mean, he did wait, in fairness to him. But yeah, she just expected him to sit on his hands, and that's not fair. And that kind of also opens the conversation of what happens to those left behind by the Doctor and the Doctor's companions. Because the companions have a life before the Doctor comes along. They have a life, they have family, they have friends, but what happens to them? And yeah, so I think that opens up like those really important combos, and back to the main plot of Blonde slash Margaret Blaine, who then is like, yeah, I'm blowing up the TARDIS. I'm basically charging my magic surfboard, uh, using the TARDIS and opening the rift while doing so. I do have to say I love the shots in Cardiff. I love any time that they are just in Cardiff and they're not pretending it's London, because that's what they do a lot. They're like, oh yes, this is definitely London. It's like, it's not London. That's the centre of Cardiff, mate, and you can tell. But yeah, she tries to blow him up. I do love the scene where she like throws off the Margaret arm, the arm of the Margaret suit, and it's just her, but with a Slovene arm. I think that's brilliant. But she looks into the heart of the TARDIS, and she gets made into a little eggy blonde, little eggy blonde. And obviously the heart of the TARDIS becomes relevant later on. But yeah, I think this is a really good ending, because she's not dying, but she just gets turned into an egg. Like, she gets taken to the beginning of her life. It's like if Rose looked into it and then became a baby. Like, she gets to live her whole life again. And take her to different parents, see whether they can treat her better, see whether they can make her less murderous, less conniving. Who knows? She might then turn out to be the best Braxicorica prime minister, or she might turn into a teacher or an artist. Like, who knows? She could be anything. But the Doctor's given her that fresh start without executing her, which is what she was trying to make him feel bad for in the first place. But I think this was a really interesting ending to. So we are getting into Bad Wolf now, and do you know what? I would say that this is one of like the better episodes of this season. I do really enjoy it. Like, to start with, Rose and Jack and the Doctor are beamed into these killer game shows, but they don't realize they're killer just yet, right? So they're beamed in, and I think personally, the shows that they choose are they kind of age the show because you've got Big Brother, you've got Weakest Link, and then I forget the name of Trini and Susanna's show, but you know, Trini and Susanna's like makeover show thing. And obviously we have Davina McCall, and this is her first cameo of two that she has in Doctor Who. I mean, technically her next one is in New Who because it's a separate entity now. Yeah, because pop off T Davis. But yeah, so we have a cameo from her. We have a cameo from and obviously playing the android in The Weakest Link, and then Trini and Susanna, as well as like Joe Joyner, Pass and Joseph, and Elaine the Pain from Tracy Beaker. So these cameos are really giving 2005. Like, and I love it. Absolutely love it. But yeah, Rose is just kind of goofing off and being like, oh, how am I supposed to know that? How am I supposed to know any of this? Like, you know, what color is orange? I don't know, ketchup? Like, you know, she's basically fucking around and finding out, and then she sees someone get vaporized and she's like, oh shit. So it's not just to hang your head in shame um if you don't get through to the next round. It is literal death. Brilliant. Let's explore that. So Rose then obviously freaks out. Jack kind of freaks out a little bit less, but still equally. The Doctor obviously sees someone get like evicted, which again, vaporized. Just call it vaporizing. Don't be like, oh, evicted, or oh, you are the weakest link. Like, just call it what it is. My question is though, my main question this entire episode: why did Trini and Susanna have to have such prominent boobs? Such prominent robot boobs? Like, I don't think it was needed for. I don't think it added anything to the story. I don't think it added anything just in general. Because I was watching it back and I'm like, have they always had like massive knockers? Like, surely, like when they were designing that, they weren't like, okay, yeah, let's make these robots like, you know, let's give them boobs. Like, but apparently they were. Apparently they were. Anyway, I digress. Enough about the robo boobs. So they are trying desperately to get out of these shows, and you know, they do succeed. The Doctor makes a TV license joke as well, which I completely forgot about. Like, you know, because he's talking to Linda, because he's managed to get her out of the game as well, talking to her, and he's like, well, you know, what other game shows are there? And she's like, oh, there's like 10 different versions of Big Brother, there's this, there's that. And she's like, do you not watch anything? He's like, nah, don't pay for my license. And she was like, oh, you'll get executed for that. So, you know, little TV license from the joke from the BBC there, which, yeah. So yeah, we are dealing with that kind of era of humour. They then work together to try and find Jack, to try and find Rose. They manage it. Just about. Not before Jack gets in the buff, though. Not before they take Jack's clothes away, which John Barrowman was very upset. They cut his ass out of the final edit. But hey ho, if they had to cut anything, at least it was butt cheeks, and not, you know, anything that was integral to the story. So the Doctor has this kind of grand plan, which he doesn't voice like in the slightest. Another reason why I think that potentially Russell T Davies was mad at Chris Eccleston at this point is because obviously Rose then gets vaporized, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, let's put 9 through as much pain as we physically can right now. And it's like, okay, you know, sound, but also why? Why? Because I don't think he'd do this to Tennant. If I'm entirely honest, I don't think he'd do this to Tennant. But anyway, Nine deals with it. He deals with it. The Doctor just smashes it, absolutely smashes all of the emotions. Like the fact that he looks so sad when he thinks she's dead, but also so numb at the same time. Like when they're arresting him, like just the blankness on his face. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And this is another thing that Chris Eccleston does: quiet emotion, the quiet, the stillness that just, oh my god, like it just, it makes everything. Oh, yeah, I just can't say enough how much I love and I'm going to miss Chris Eccleston as the Doctor. But you know, we moved on to Tennant, and you know that is fine. That's fine. Yeah. I just wish that Chris had longer because he did the most with the least amount of time. But I will get onto that when I talk about like kind of my wider thoughts on this season of the show, the reboot in general, and all that lovely stuff. Probably at the end of this video. So obviously the Doctor is distraught. He's upset. But, you know, it's all part of a wider plan for him to escape and then find the controller, who I always really liked the design of the controller because obviously it's like the paleness, which is kind of reminiscent of like the editor who we saw, um, you know, in Satellite 5, which is now Game Station. Before, you know, she's like, I can't see, I'm blind, I'm blind. But obviously, we see that she is being controlled by something, an entity. It was kind of obvious who it was, but you know, I'm kind of glad that we have a Dalek two-parter to finish off this, you know, lovely first season that we get. Like, I do quite. I like the Daleks. I just think that they were overused in New Who, to be honest, towards the end. And I just didn't like the eye Daleks. But this is like my era of Dalek. This is the era of Dalek that I really, really enjoy. And yeah, I will obviously get more onto the Daleks in Parting of the Ways. But yeah, I just think this design is like the best design of Dalek. So we see the controller, she's hooked up to all these things, and you know, she's like, Doctor, I cannot see, but I see you. I saw you coming. Because yeah, her whole life she's just controlling games. That is all she's doing. Like she has no freedom, she has no life, really. And yeah, like also every time they say game station, it just reminds me of the shop that used to exist in like the early 2000s. Because obviously there was game and then there was game station, and game stood the test of time. Obviously not now, but like, you know, game existed for longer than what game station did. But game station was always far better, and I always enjoyed going in game station way more than I enjoyed going in game, to be honest. But anyway, so they then have this plan to go and see her, see what's going on, see who's controlling her, and it turns out to be the Daleks, who we will get onto in the Parting of Ways. Because yeah, it's a very Dalek heavy story, but it makes sense for it to be, and I think that Chris would have been happy to go out on a Dalek story, if I'm entirely honest. We obviously in this episode as well get some like flirty lines from Captain Jack, especially like, you know, he's greeting Linda, he's like, oh hello, and the dog's like, stop it. He's like, I was saying hello. He's like, that for you is flirting. And I love the banter. Like, I love the seriousness of this episode, but also just how, yeah, like I love the seriousness, but also like the banter. Like we don't lose any of that relationship between like Team TARDIS, like the TARDIS crew, whatever you want to call them. Like we don't lose any of that like relationship, any of like the lightness, the care between them. And obviously, you know, the Doctor has now grown to care for Linda and wants to make sure that she is safe. He now has the responsibility of everyone as well on the game station to keep them safe and, you know, to stop all of them dying in the games. Because yeah, that's basically what game station is. It's everyone's randomly picked and you can't do fucking anything about it. So yeah, the Doctor wants to put a stop to that. We have come to the end of the season 1 of New Who rewatch, and I have really enjoyed rewatching it. We're currently at, obviously, Parting of the Ways, which I'm going to talk about now, and it is our last Chris Eccleston episode, and it makes me really fucking sad. I love Chris Eccleston. I love what he brings to the Doctor. I love the energy that he brings. I love the kind of cheeky sarcasm that he brings, and I think he was a great choice for the first Doctor to see in this reboot, this revival. So this is, of course, our first multi-Dalek episode that we have had. Because we had, obviously, Dalek, where it was just the one, and now it's multi-Daleks. We have, obviously, like, you know, we have Big Dalek, who is controlling them all. Like, the Emperor of the Daleks, like, love the design, absolutely adore the design of that. I also really, really enjoy, like, the banter between the Doctor and the Daleks. Always have, always will. And I think that Eccleston does this phenomenally. So I think that Rose looking into the heart of the TARDIS is going to be, like, important as we go into the, you know, will it happen, won't it happen Christmas special of this year. Because, obviously, she looked into the heart of the TARDIS. She was the last person to do so. And then, obviously, Shooty did it. And now, you know, her face has emerged. So I think it's something to do with that. Like, because she's not the Doctor. They have now confirmed that they are still looking for their TARDIS dweller, and that it is not, in fact, Billie Piper. Anyway, I digress, because otherwise this is just going to be about New Who, and we are talking about New. We are talking about New Who and not New Who. Yeah? You get me? You still with me? Yeah, awesome. So, this is obviously the finale of Chris Eccleston. They ended it really well, I would say. So the Doctor and Jack and Linda and Rose are all wanting to, you know, fight the Daleks, because Rose hasn't been vaporized. She's been transported. That's all that's happened. And they tested that with, you know, dear Linda. They tested that with Linda. They were like, yeah, like, stand there for me. And then, yeah, they beamed her back, because, you know, it's not actually death. It is, in fact, her being transported to another place. So they find Rose, do all of that. They kill off the first Dalek, but then they're like, yeah, shit, we've got loads more. We've got loads more. But the Doctor knows that he can't keep Rose safe. He knows that in order to keep her safe, that he needs to send her away. But she doesn't know that at the time. Neither does Jack. No one knows what the Doctor is planning. But yeah, the Daleks obviously hate the Doctor. They want him gone. They have been planning all of this. And Bad Wolf was not actually sent by them. Because it's like, well, what is this Bad Wolf that's been sent, like, throughout time and space? Like, what's that about? And they're like, that was not part of our design. They're also now somehow familiar with blasphemy, because they're now a little Dalek cult religion thing, which, you know, absolutely brilliant. Of course they are. And, you know, we knew it wouldn't be the end of the Daleks, at the end of Dalek. We just knew. But anyway, so Rose gets sent away, which the Doctor must have known. He must have known, because he said in his video message, like his little hologram, that, like, oh, I know you're probably yelling at me right now, but, you know, let the TARDIS die. Just let it fade. Let it be one of those weird things on a street corner. Just let it get buried. Like, and you live your life, right? So he does that, but he has to have known that Rose had been stubborn enough to try and get home. She then has, like, the left companion blues, basically. And I love that we get to see this as early as Rose, because we see it obviously later on as well. Like, you know, Sarah Jane talks about it in School Reunion. And, you know, we get a lot of Rose's emotions and the fact that she's changed. The fact that, yes, she was happy just living a kind of complacent little life where she was, you know, working in a shop and coming home to her mum and boyfriend eating chips. But now she's seen the universe. She's seen the stars. She has saved people. She has saved planets. She has seen galaxies far beyond our own, and she's not okay with just standing by. She's like, if you can help, you should always try to help. And I'm not saying that Rose wasn't a helpful person before, but not to this level. So obviously, she wants to then go and help the doctor and finds a way. Because of course she's going to find a way. But I love the conversations that she has with Jackie and Mickey, because she obviously starts saying that, um, she needs to be with the doctor. She needs to be where she's needed. And they're like, oh, well, does that mean that you're too good for us? And blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, it just means that this isn't my place. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be helping. So there's obviously some miscommunication there. But she talks about her dad. And she's like, Dad would want me to do this. And she obviously then reveals to Jackie that the girl that was with Pete in his final moments was her. And Jackie storms off and comes back with a tow truck. Because of course she does. Jackie knows everyone. Jackie is owed a favour by everyone. So of course. They then try and open the heart of the TARDIS. And, Rose then gets a face full of it and ends up just absorbing all of the energy. But before she does, like I said, there's some really important conversations here of like what it feels like to be left as a companion, like what happens. And we explored it a little bit with Mickey in Boomtown of like what happens to those who are left by the companions of the Doctor. Because not just by the Doctor, right? Because these companions have lives, they have like families, they have friends, they have relationships. And they just kind of abandon that. And the family are just meant to be okay with the fact that their sibling, their child, their partner is just like away in the stars with this man. Like they're supposed to just be okay with it. And do I kind of wish that we got a bit more of like Mickey and the TARDIS in this season? Yes. Obviously, we get it like a little bit later on. But yeah, I feel like Mickey and Rose were a couple on the TARDIS. Like they walked so that Amy and Rory could run, if that makes sense. But anyway, back to the theme of the episode. Otherwise, I will go off on a tangent and this video will be 43 hours long. And as much as I could talk about Doctor Who for 43 hours, and I will, probably, I just want to focus on the main topics at hand. So Rose looks into the eye of the TARDIS. Like I said, it's going to be really important later on that she's looked into the heart of the TARDIS and, her face has popped back out in modern day. So we're there with her, like, looking at what has happened. We then find out that she scattered Bad Wolf throughout as a message to herself to lead her back to the Doctor, which I think is so clever. I think, do you know what? This is one of the mysteries, because obviously T. Davis's New Who, T. Davis's New Who, when there's a mystery, it's not solved very well. It's like Ruby's mum was just a woman, like, after all of that kind of fanfare. But I think this is a mystery that pays off. I think this is a mystery that does well. I think that this is one of those where we actually get a good ending to it. So Rose comes back, she vaporizes all the Daleks, not before, everybody else is killed, other than like the Doctor, Jack, Rose, Mickey. Everyone else gone. Goners, because this season they're not afraid to kill. They are not afraid to kill off people who, they don't think matter as much, or, have only been in little bits of the episode. They're not afraid to kill them all. But, yeah, then the Doctor clearly knows. He knows from the second that he saw Rose like that. He put her first. And he was like, right, I'm going to have to absorb all this energy. That's going to make me regenerate. I'm not going to have this face anymore. But if I don't, Rose is going to burn up and die. And I can't have that. So again, like the Doctor putting other people before himself. Because I've seen so many things like, oh, the Doctor's selfish, the Doctor's selfish. He's not. Like, this is one of those moments where he obviously puts the companion before himself and he puts the life of Rose before himself and they have that kiss. And yeah, the Doctor then regenerates, and we have to say bye bye to Chris Eccleston, which is really sad. I'm going to miss him dearly. So this is kind of like going to be my final thoughts on season one of Doctor Who. Just to end this video, because yeah, I feel like I need to do kind of like a final thoughts, final opinions. Like, I love this season, I really, really do, and I think that Chris Eccleston is such a powerhouse when it comes to the Doctor. I think he was the perfect man to like put at the helm of the TARDIS to, start our reboot, our revival, like our regeneration. Because yeah, he conveys he he is kind, he is, funny, sarcastic, like he knows when to joke around, but he also has this quiet power to him. So when he's getting angry at like the Daleks, he has kind of this quiet anger that then obviously he does get, loud anger as well. But it's almost like he is carrying 900 years of time and space on his shoulders, and he knows exactly how to deal with the emotions of stuff. He has clearly dealt with a lot. Like when Margaret was trying to make him feel bad in Boomtown, he was just like, yeah, okay. She's like, you're my executioner, and he's like, yeah, you've killed a lot of people. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay being your executioner. That's cool. That's fine. Because he now knows that by getting rid of her, he's potentially saving the planet. He's saving so many people who would have died or, never been born, and all of that because of getting rid of one creature. Speaking of creatures, we have had like about 6 new creatures and 2 returning. So we've had the Autons and the Daleks returning, but like as for new ones, we've obviously had like um we've had the Gelth, which were like a big one. We've had Slovene, which are, an all important one. We've had the Jagrafess, which is really cool. Like, yeah, the Empty Child, which again is iconic. Like, a lot of this season is very, very iconic, and it's what people know the show for. So, they know it for the Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. They know it for the Slovene. Like, that's what a lot of people know it for. And that's brilliant. I love that. So I think that this season is just as much about Rose as it is about Nine, right? It is definitely a two-hander because it's not just about Rose and it's not just about the Doctor, right? So Rose is our perfect window. She's our perfect window into this world. She is our insert as the audience. She is an ordinary 19-year-old. She lives quite like an insular life. She lives with her mom, she's got her boyfriend, she has her job, she comes home, she goes to the shops sometimes, she's just a normal 19-year-old. And then obviously Autons happen, this guy shows up, and all of a sudden she has seen every planet. She has been around different solar systems. She has seen different times. She has experienced so much joy, so much pain, because she has obviously met some incredible people, like Gwyneth, who obviously sacrificed herself for, the greater good. But yeah, she has seen so much. She goes from, like I said, normal shop girl to bad wolf badass. She can't be stopped. She is a force to be reckoned with. And I think that is why Rose is the absolute perfect first companion. And they bounce off each other so well, I think. And not only do they have like that great relationship, their relationship withstands other people being in the TARDIS as well. Whereas, like, with a lot of companions, it would have kind of fizzled or would have become less important. But obviously, it withstands Mickey coming on, it withstands Jack having like a little stint with them. And yeah, I love the addition of Jack. I really, really do. I also like that it's this season sets up Cassandra. I like that it sets up like the face of Bo as well, who we obviously see in later seasons. And yeah, I think that this was a perfect setup. What I don't like is the fact that Chris felt the need to leave because of the way that he was being treated. And, he's been more vocal now than he obviously previously was about why that is. Because he was very much like, oh no, it's creative differences, creative differences. Whereas now he's like, sack Russell T Davis, sack Jane Tranter, sack Julie Gardner, and I'll come back. And I mean, do I think that we need to do all three of those things and have him come back? Yes. Yes, I do. I need more Nine. Like, I'm so glad that he's doing Big Finish now. I love that he's back in the world of Doctor Who. But I need more. Like, him and Billy clearly still have this great love for each other, right? Because they do conventions together anytime they're talking about one another in interviews. They're just, you can see that they, do love and respect each other. And I love that. Because, yes, has it been 21 years since they've worked together? Yes, of course it has. But they're obviously doing some Big Finish stuff together now. And, every time that Chris is asked at conventions, oh, if you could swap a companion, if you could have any other companion apart from Rose, who would you have? And he's like, Rose. I know, Billy. Like, I'm not having anyone else. And I love that. I love that. I love that even though he doesn't like the management of the show, he is still very respectful to the fans. He's very respectful to, obviously, his co-stars. It kind of, I mean, watching this season back with the whole Noel Clarke of it all is interesting, to say the least. But yeah, like my favourite episodes of this season, I really enjoyed Boomtown. I love Father's Day. I think that is a brilliant episode, but Unquiet Dead is my favourite. Unquiet Dead is my favourite of the season. My least favourite, The Long Game, because it's like I said in my video, it's a nothing burger. It's a nothing burger of an episode. It's filler. That's all it is. It's like meant to be there to establish Satellite 5. That's kind of all it's there for, and for Simon Pegg to have a cameo. And, it kind of just was meh for me. But overall, this season, I would say is a 9.5 out of 10. 100%. And do you know what brings it down? Chris leaving. Chris leaving and The Long Game. That is the only thing that loses this season points. Otherwise, I'd say it's, I mean, don't come for me, but I would say it's a perfect season. I think it's a perfect season because it is very much one of those that has, it has heart, it has those funny episodes, it has, yes, it has filler, but it also has, it deals with fixed points in time. They're not afraid to like kill literally everyone in the whole episode because that is what they did. That is what they did in the finale. They, like, anyone that wasn't Rose, the Doctor, Jack, Mickey, they're gone. Because they're not afraid of that. They're not afraid to show emotion. They're not afraid to bring new monsters in, and they're not afraid to, like, revisit old foes. Because I'm so glad that, like, the Autons was the first episode. Because I was so worried, like, when they were reviving it. Because I had watched some classic Who as well as the Doctor Who movie beforehand. I was so worried that it was just going to be like Daleks and Cybermen. And it wasn't. Were there technically 3 Dalek episodes? Yes. Well, 2.5 Dalek episodes. Yes. Were they the entire season? No. Of course they weren't. Like, the overarching theme was obviously Bad Wolf, but it was also the friendship within the TARDIS. It was rebuilding this entity. And I absolutely adore this show. And this was a brilliant, brilliant first season. So yeah, if you want to see more Doctor Who stuff, if you want to see more nerdy stuff, spooky stuff, just more stuff from me in general, then let me know what you'd like to see. Because I'm always open for suggestions, and I will continue to do my big New Who rewatch for as long as it lasts. to be honest, I will continue to cover every single episode every single time, and I do like short videos on my TikTok, so be sure to check that out if you want to.